I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks, and welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger. I'm joined today with my law partner, Jimmy Fasig.
Hello.
Welcome, Jimmy. We got a great show coming up today.
I'm excited about the show today, and the interesting thing about this show is that the guest on the show, her name is Andrea, and she is actually a member of the Empower Hour.
That's right, the Empower Plan.
Which is the social media group that we host, that you host with the women lawyers in our firm. And so it's fascinating because it's amazing how people, just regular people that you see every day, sometimes they've got these amazing comeback stories. They've got amazing life experiences that you could just tap into and you can learn from. She's an amazing person.
Yeah, and she's part of your group. At Fasig Brooks, one of the things we like to do, we're a law firm, we're a personal injury law firm, of course, but one of the things that we think distinguishes us is our interest in our clients beyond the lawsuit, beyond the claims that they come to us to help them with, and we try to help them change their lives, get back not where they were before, but have them come back stronger after a setback like an injury. And so one of the ways we do that is you have your Come Back Stronger private and public Facebook groups. We've started this show that shares people's stories of what they've struggled with, how hard it was once for them, how they found the light, how they found the strength to turn their lives around, and then now how they're helping other people, which is what we like, because that's our mission too. So we've started, we've got the Come Back Stronger group, but we also have something, it's a Facebook group, Fasig Brooks Facebook group called the Empower Plan, and that is designed for, by, and about empowered women. And so that's my passion, protecting and promoting women and girls. So this is a woman who participates in that. She's got a really strong Facebook game, y'all. She's funny.
Yeah, she is funny.
She's in your group. She gets up at the Gold Crushers. She is an all-around go-get-it person.
You know what I love about her story is in every comeback story, there is a disruptor in somebody's life. Something happens in that person's life where they say, finally they say, I've had enough, and I'm not going to take this anymore. And so, and then they change everything around. And I can't wait for y'all to hear this story. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we'll come back right after this, and we'll have Kimmy Hogan's interview with Andrea Bedwell. Stay tuned.
I recently had a new client, and she suffered a mild traumatic brain injury. And she had no idea what had happened that caused her to be injured.
Gotcha.
But it turns out she had fallen into a pit at an oil change station. And it was 100% their fault.
Oh, wow.
But
her injury made her not even understand.
Her injury, and it makes me so frustrated because folks that suffer concussions or mild traumatic brain injuries, it's really difficult for them to know what happened and to understand the difference in what their life was and what it is now because of the nature of their condition. And so the insurance companies need to recognize the full value of that.
Instead of taking advantage of that very unique situation.
It took her family telling her, you need to call an attorney. Her family coming with her to the appointment to say, these are the differences, to get her in there, and now we're able to help her.
I love that. And we're back. Now we're going to listen to Kimmy Hogan's interview with Andrea Bedwell. Take a look.
Andrea Bedwell, thank you so much for being here with us today. Yours is a story of perseverance.
Yes.
We have people that come on and they've gone through a tragedy and then they overcome it. And for you, you had 30 years of having to push, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And so we're so thankful for you coming on today to share your story with us.
I'm happy to be here.
All right, so I want to let the viewers know kind of where you are now, and then let's hop back to the beginning and tell your story. So you are currently a real estate agent, right?
Yes.
And tell me what you do.
I'm currently a team leader for the Elite Group, Tallahassee. We founded late last year, November. I got into a point in my business where I really needed to bring on other people to help me grow and leverage, and I love them. They're all fantastic, and we have been just crushing it ever since we got together. I'm top 3% producer in Tallahassee for real estate. Got that way, definitely not overnight. I would say over 3 years of really, really hard work.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. All right, so bring us back. Tell us about your childhood.
Okay, so I was the oldest of three. My earliest memories are from when I was around 6 years old. My sister was 4, my brother 2. We lived in a single wide trailer from my earliest memories. 2 bedrooms, no heat in the winter, no AC in the summer, just really, really run down. I shared a bedroom and a bed with my siblings. And, you know, my parents were drug addicts. They were partiers, and it was like that every single night. So, you know, the mornings following these wild nights, you know, I would get up, I would kick beer cans out of the way, kick over the trash, whatever, and make my way to the kitchen. And if we were going to eat breakfast, if my siblings were going to eat, I had to climb on the counter and pull things out of the cabinet and, you know, bread or whatever, and feed them. And it was just, it's like something you see in a bad movie.
Mm-hmm. You're just 6 years old at the time,
6 years
right?
old.
Wow.
And I look at my 8-year-old and I'm thinking, how? Like,
You did it because you had to do it,
I
right?
guess.
So, did you stay with your parents until you reached adulthood, or what happened?
So we were with them until I was around 10. So this went on for a good 4 years. And again, this is from my earliest memories. You know, I don't remember before 6 years old. I just don't. When I was 10 years old, the state finally took us away. They came in, they realized what was happening. I mean, our mother would take us to really bad parts of town and leave us in the car, itty bitty children, while she went in crack houses, for lack of a better term, and do her thing. And when the state finally got a hold of it, they took us out, put us with her mother, and she was single. I mean, she didn't have a husband, so we stayed with her for about a year. My parents went to rehab, and they did get us back afterwards. And everything was great for a little while. It was the most normalcy I had in my entire life, you know, 11, 12 years old, but it did not last long. They slipped right back into it.
Oh, wow. So what did y'all do then?
Okay, so at that point, I would remember coming home from school and things would be missing. My mother would sell, like, the washer and dryer. She sold my brother's bedroom furniture. She sold my stereo. She would take whatever birthday money I had. All these things to put towards her habit. And before long, the bank took the house. We had to get out. So we ended up moving into my dad's mother's house, my other grandmother. This was in town, pretty brick house in Colquitt, Georgia. But as soon as we moved in, my grandmother had like $800 stolen from her and jewelry by my mother. So my mother had to leave. She just had to go. And my grandmother couldn't take my dad's drinking. She couldn't. So he left. So there we were, left with my grandmother, single, worked night shift.
Yeah.
Mind you. So I took care of my brother and sister while she slept during the day. Dinner was on me. Dishes were on me. I was 14, 15 at this time. And I mean, I did the best I could for what I knew.
Sounds like you did a great job. You kept it. I mean, you kept it together, right?
Well, I mean, you got to think. Also, I was 14 to 15 years old, so there were times when I went and did what I wanted to do, and it was not pretty. It was not perfect. I was into drinking by the time I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no guidance. We had no one there. It's not like my grandma didn't want to be there. She had to go to work at night and sleep during the day so she could get back and go to work again so she could provide. So, yeah.
How long did you stay with your grandma?
We were there until we graduated high school. My sister graduated valedictorian, which I was really proud of.
Wow.
Yeah. My brother ended up not finishing school. He's a mechanic now. But nonetheless, everybody has done pretty daggone well, considering where we came from. I got married because I was pregnant when I was 19 years old. And in my 19-year-old mind, I thought that this was a new beginning, a way out. starting over, these were all the thoughts that were playing in my mind, because in the back of your psyche, you've been through all of this and you just want to put it in the past and lay it to rest and start over. But those actions, without giving weight to the fact that this guy and I were not compatible at all, was just, looking back, was ridiculous. It didn't last very long. I do have some awesome kids that, I love them very much. They're wonderful, super smart kids. But it did end, and I moved forward from there.
Well, we've got to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, we'll pick back up at that point.
Wow. What do you think about Andrea?
Well, she had such a challenging childhood, but what's fascinating to me is we see a lot of people who come up from the most challenging circumstances that end up being the most successful people.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because it's that pain and that pain that gives them the drive to become the successful people that they become.
Yeah.
So the second part of this story is the good part.
Yeah.
You've heard the challenging part, but now we're going to go to the good part.
Yeah, we're going to hear more good things and see how Andrea turned her life around and is just living her best life right now. Stay tuned.
I went to lunch with one of my former clients the other day, and she's doing great. She took the money from her settlement and she started her own company buying and selling vehicles, which is really cool because she was in a car crash and then needed a new vehicle. And so now she's able to help other folks out.
Most of our clients, they find that one of the most frustrating things is the dealing with the vehicle.
Oh, well, losing your car can totally disrupt your life.
You can lose your livelihood over it. If you can't get to work, or what's the worst thing with our clients is we're just trying to help them get well, but if they can't get to the health care that they need, that's just another setback.
One of the typical things about a comeback story is you take the pain and the struggles and the challenges that you've been through and you use that as the fire that kind of motivates you to do something good for other people.
Yeah.
And so I love that because now our client did exactly that, like literally to the T.
And we are back for the second half of Kimmy Hogan's interview with Andrea.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
And how old are they now?
13, almost 14. He is a guitar player. This kid can shred Van Halen like you have never heard. It's insane. And then my daughter's 11, and my youngest, Eli's 8.
Okay.
Eli has his own special story. He was on life support. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, we had to fight through. After I gave birth to him, he started turning blue within the first 24 hours, and the doctors took him and life flighted him to Atlanta to the Children's Hospital. It turned out his pulmonary artery between his heart and lungs was shut completely.
Wow.
So we ended up he and his father and I ended up there for about 3 to 4 months. That was a very hard time because, his father, my husband at the time, I thought was my high school sweetheart, and everything was supposed to be perfect, and this was, this supposed to be a fairy tale fantasy, was promised the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
It ended up not being that way. So that didn't last very long either. But Elijah is a very special child, lucky to be alive. He has a balloon catheter in his heart. And we have to watch him, to make sure his lips don't turn blue or anything like that. But today, you can't really tell anything was really wrong. He came through that, and he's perfectly fine now. We have to go to the doctor, checkups and everything. But I just feel so blessed that he got to stay with us.
Yes.
On this earth. I don't know what I would do without him.
Oh my gosh, there's almost nothing worse than having your kids have a medical condition. Wow, wow.
Yeah, seeing him on a ventilator was terrifying.
So let's talk about, I know you've had the 3 kids, and then move us forward in the story of your life from there.
Eli's daddy, my littlest baby, we moved to Bluntstown because he had a job with the National Forestry Service, U.S. Forestry. His office was in Bristol, right over the line. We were there for a little while, and this fairy tale that I had had in the back of my mind was, was not playing out, and things just went sideways, and he left. January 2017, I had $75 and a real estate license.
Oh, wow.
And 3 babies.
What'd you do?
Sink or swim.
Yeah, what'd you?
I went to work.
Well, you swam.
Yeah, Calhoun County got to know who I was pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I was not going to be on welfare. I was not going to be on food stamps. I had lived that life before. I was not going to do it again. Okay, in February of that year, the grandmother that, worked night shift and took care of us and everything, she died of a heart attack in February. And then, kept pushing through that. And then in May of that year, Memorial Day, I got a phone call that the house was on fire. Our childhood home, the place, it was our safe haven. If we didn't have anywhere else to go, we felt like we could go to Grandma's house.
Yeah.
And they said that the house was on fire and Dad did not make it out. Toxicology showed there was so much in his system, like he would not have been able to crawl out the door if he wanted to.
Yeah.
It
so
was
sorry.
And that was hard. I've told you all of these things that I've been through, but that was really hard. Even though he had a very serious problem, he had a really big heart, and it was hard not to love him anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People that knew him in his everyday life, he was a super hard worker. It didn't matter how much he had to drink the night before, he would still get up and he would put on his overalls and get his hammer and go do manual labor every single day. And I would love to think that I took a little bit of that from him.
Yeah.
Now, my mother, she was not as big-hearted and likable. I just feel like she was so far gone with the hard drugs and everything. But he really does have a special place with all of us.
So 2017
was wild.
Man, so January, your husband leaves, you've got your real estate license at $75. February, your grandma dies, and then May, your dad dies. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there numb and with your 3 babies that you've got to take care of.
Yeah.
You have obviously turned this around and been very successful.
Yes.
How in the world did you do it?
Okay, later in 2017, I was online. I do a lot of networking on Facebook. I mean, everyone's there. That's, I ended up meeting Scott Pascal online, my husband now, and everything just changed from there. It was a complete 180, and it's almost unbelievable to me now that we've actually gone 3 or 4 years and that there's been no tragedy. I'm like, well, what's going on,
Yeah.
Because it's almost like I had grown accustomed to things going so terribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not that way anymore.
I'm really happy to hear that. Your story is all about perseverance. Mm-hmm. And I love when you first came in and I said, that's what I think it sounds like. You said, that was on the back of my business card.
Yes. It was for the longest time until I founded the Elite Group. Previously, I had room on the back of my business card, and I wrote out the definition of perseverance. So
what did you tell yourself? Just every day, get up and go?
No, and not every day was easy. Some days I just laid in the bed, to be quite honest with you. But I knew in the back of my mind that if you stay here, you don't go forward.
Yeah.
Do you really want to stay here? And no, I did not want to stay here. So it was that fear of failure and fear of ending up like my parents or ending up in poverty that kept pushing me forward. That's just not who I am. Even as, a 6-year-old little girl, I told you about this trailer that we lived in and everything. I would wake up in the mornings and I knew there was something inside of me that I just knew that I was going to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what, when, or how, but I knew that I had something special, and I wanted to be able to share that with other people.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your great success with your company. I know we're all so happy for you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Ooh, I love that story. I've got so much I
love
want to
her.
talk about
She
on
is
that one.
so awesome.
I know you like her. She's talking your language.
I mean, absolutely. I just want to put things in perspective.
Sure.
She's got her husband just left her. She's got $75. She has a real estate license, but she's got 3 babies that she's taking care of. This is in 2017.
Yeah, this isn't 20 years ago.
That's only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And right now she's in the top 3%
Yeah.
of all real estate agents in Tallahassee. That is a big, big deal.
Yeah, it is,
It
especially
is a very
in
big deal.
this post-COVID
yeah.
condition. So I can't even think about it. I can't wait to come back from the break and talk more about Andrea and her incredible story. Come back.
And you know what the insurance company offered him? $5,000.
Really?
He's completely blind, and they offer him $5,000. Ask him to sign a release.
To a lot of people, especially when they're hurting and when they're down and when they're vulnerable, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at the value of what has been lost. They're not looking at what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job.
Yeah.
That's our job. Their job isn't. Their job is to save the insurance company money.
Right.
And they look at this person and they go, I bet $5,000 would get your full attention. Right. And they come in and they dangle it with a settlement release, and then once you sign it, you're done. You can't come back to us and ask us to wave a magic wand and make that go away. That can't go away.
My client didn't accept the $5,000. We took him all the way to trial. We got a $5 million verdict.
And we're back. We're talking about Andrea Bedwell today, and she is an extraordinary woman. We just heard her story, but she has so many of those same elements we talk about all the time.
Yes.
And one thing I liked so much about her is she just had this abiding belief that this isn't the life she's supposed to have, that this isn't the end-all be-all for her, and this is not where she ends up. And I think that fight and that genuine belief in herself, despite the fact that it doesn't sound like she had a lot of people who encouraged her. It sounds like the people who were responsible for parenting her had their own struggles, and they were never able to really master life in a way that would allow them to be good, nurturing parents to her and encourage her, but somehow she found it.
Yeah. What I loved about Andrea's story is she said, I was not going to be on welfare. She said, I was not going to be on welfare, and then Kimmy asked her, what did you do? And she said, I got to work. I got to work, and she knew, and like you say, she said she knew that she was meant to be somebody. That is a big quote.
That's a big thing.
I think everybody in the entire world needs to say that quote. I am meant to be somebody, because that's a fact. And when you know that, then you take the actions that make that real.
And that's what she does. She's one of these people who, and this, I like this about her. I liked how honest she was.
Yeah.
Because she says, you know what? I didn't get up and kill it every day. Some days I just said, this is too hard. I need to just sit here and wallow in it.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to do that. Sometimes you just need to say, well, this just was terrible, and I don't deserve this, and and just pout or go to sleep or do whatever you want to eat, a thing of ice cream. But then you rally back and you get it back together. And there's nothing wrong with public assistance. Well, perseverance. But there's nothing wrong with public assistance when it's used the way it's intended, which is to give you a hand up and give you a break when you need it, whenever everything's coming at you and you need some help, but it's not meant for you to unpack and live there. And that's what she was saying. I'd been through that. I saw it. I needed it when I needed it, but I did not want to live there. That wasn't where I wanted to be my final destination.
Yeah. Another one of the big takeaways that I got that I love this is when she said that, bottom line, the big change, the big shift happened when she met her husband. And I always say this, is that it's the people that we choose to hang out with are the kind of people we become. And there's a saying in Spanish that says, dime con quién tú andas y yo te digo quién tú eres.
Easy for you to say.
Which basically means, tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are.
Oh yeah.
And that is so important, because what we notice in all these comeback stories is there's almost always some person that shows kindness, or some person that gives mentorship, or some person that gives guidance to the person who comes back.
And when we talk about her husband, let's talk real about that for a minute. You know, this man is coming to a woman who is coming from a home, she's got no support. You know, there's no grandparents and, you know, lineages and all that kind of thing that you might look for in a potential mate. And she's got, you know, 3 children. You know, you're going into a marriage with somebody who's had that kind of, you know, adversity, and you're going to help her, you know, parent children. And it's just, I mean, that is a real turning point for so many women. They'll get divorced, or they will have children, and they do make their children their priority, and that's good, they should. That's great, but you get to have a life too, and there's nothing wrong with expecting to be loved. And so many women, after they go through that, they feel like they're damaged, they're ruined, no decent person is going to want them, or, you know, they're nothing without a man. They just, you know, it's just like a most compounding thing, and then so many women just can't get out from under that. And I love that she still loved herself. She knew she was someone who had so much to contribute. She was a good mom. She was going to go out and persevere, and she lived her message. You know, she's in your 8 o'clock goal crushers thing, and that's the kind of people who turn their lives around, because they do it the way you do with the goal setting.
Well, that's an interesting point. It's a very interesting point. This is a woman who is in the top of her profession, the absolute top of her profession.
Very
She's founded the elite organization. But she's still every day at 8 a.m. I see her. I do a Facebook Live every morning, and I see her almost every morning. It's just basically a motivational talk that I give for like 10 minutes. And so there she is, listening to my Facebook Live, which is one of the big things that I think is important for all of us, is to constantly feed our minds with positive messages, with motivational messages. And she does that regularly.
She does. And you can tell, I mean, I don't think anybody has missed her brutal honesty.
Yes.
She's so self-effacing.
Yes.
And you really can't correct any problems until you 100% own them. You own your position in them. You know, a lot of people would be in her position and go, woe is me. I just didn't get those breaks.
Yes.
I just didn't get that. So you know, I'm relegated to this particular status. She said, no, not for me. And I love this about her. She's doing something for her children that wasn't able to be done for her, and that is she is modeling perseverance. She is modeling go-get-itness. She's modeling work ethic. And I thought it was nice that she still has a kind place in her heart for her father, to say the things she did about him, and to thank him for the work ethic.
What a wonderful person.
Yeah. We appreciate you joining us again for another episode. We hope you watch us next week as well. And if you know a good comeback story, let us know. Reach out to us, fasigbrooks.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Insurance companies will take every advantage that they have, you know, and it really,
that's their job.
It makes, it's unreasonable to think that you shouldn't, as a person that's injured, take every advantage that you have. You know, if insurance companies are reasonable, we wouldn't have a job.
It's an adversarial process.
Right.
You have to prove your claim. You have to demonstrate an entitlement to what you're asking for. And a lot of people can't do that without a lawyer.
I had a case where the person was injured. It was a rear end crash, and he did everything right. He went to the hospital, he went to the doctor, he got therapy, he got an MRI that showed he had a significant injury in his neck, and the insurance company offered him like $7,000.
Wow.
And all I had to do was get involved, and right away the offer was increased to $25,000.
That changed the
just by an
entire-
attorney being involved.
The entire direction of the case goes differently.
That happens all the time.